Hello and welcome. You're watching Head to Head. I'm Antonina Antosha with UATV. Donald Trump has become the third president in U.S. history to be impeached after the House of Representatives voted on December 18th on two charges against him: abuse of power related to his dealings with Ukraine and obstruction of Congress. Impeachment in the House does not automatically result in removal from office. The decision is taken by the U.S. Senate, which is set to hold a trial on Mr. Trump's fate in January. How President Trump's impeachment could impact 2020 election, and what happens next in Ukraine-U.S. relations. To answer these questions, we're joined in the studio today by Yulia Osmolovska. She's the international politics expert and executive director at the Institute of Negotiations. So hello and thank you for joining.
Hello.
So on December 18th, a historical moment, right, for the third time in the history of the U.S., Donald Trump has been voted to get impeached. And one of the reasons is applying pressure on Ukraine basically making Ukraine interfere in 2020 U.S. presidential elections. What's next?
Well, you labeled it as a historical day. I would say it's a symbolical day, because the results of these hearings in House of Representatives were quite predetermined and no surprises. So the split is along the party lines, and actually what will happen in Senate, where the final stage of these impeachment hearings will be held in January. So basically this will end up the whole process of Trump's impeachment, I think, because everybody knows, and a lot of analysts, analytics and observers, American experts say that because the voting requires 2/3 of majority in Senate, and the move is not likely to happen, because the majority in Senate is held by Republicans who are voting against the impeachment. Therefore, no serious prediction for real abolishing power from President Trump is anticipated so far.
So is it just then a political play?
Yes, you're quite right.
The aim of what?
The aim was, you rightly mentioned in your remarks before I was allowed to reply, that Democrats hope to seriously damage the political image of Donald Trump in the light of presidential election campaign in 2020, with the hope that this whole impeachment process, all the accusations around Trump, will definitely impact the assessment and relations of the ordinary American towards their president in a bad way, and that the ratio of support to Donald Trump as a forerunner for presidential post in 2020 from Republicans will be definitely overshadowed by this process.
How high were Trump's chances to win the 2020 presidential elections in the U.S. before this situation happened?
If you judge from the level of support of Donald Trump voters, you would see that the ratio hasn't changed drastically throughout the whole impeachment process. That means that Donald Trump has his core group of supporters who would definitely vote for him in next elections. The only thing which would impact the decision of American electorate is the stance of economy of the country. So the further trend is more or less good, and if this trend is continued in the period when the elections actually will be held, the voting will be held. So there are a number of experts, and I'm joining them, who anticipate that Trump has quite high chances to win the position again.
Donald Trump is very well known for tweeting a lot. And of course he had a tweet, so I'm gonna quote it. That's what he tweeted. "I got impeached last night without one Republican vote being cast with the do-nothing Dems." which means Democrats, on their continuation of the greatest witch hunt in American history. Now, the do-nothing party want to do nothing with the articles and not deliver them to the Senate, but it's Senate's call. This changing the Democrats of the do-nothing party, how much pressure does this actually apply in the political party and the political power of Democrats?
I think that both parties' image are severely damaged during this campaign, and don't forget that if we are speaking about one of the frontrunners of Democratic Party, Joseph Biden, the whole stuff about his dealings with Ukraine, in the light of his personal confessions that he was demanding the resignation of the Prosecutor General, and linking this to the assistance which United States was going to provide to Ukraine. So this somehow also reflects the fact that this issue of interfering into internal politics of Ukraine, trying to make an influence and being somehow engaged with this games on finance is also being admitted by the Democrats, by Joseph Biden himself on a conference. A number of TV channels, and I think you as well, also quoted this video from a conference where he confessed actually that you need to sack the Prosecutor General. So that means that he also, and the Democratic Party also, is not in very strong position with regard to the next election campaign. And I think that Donald Trump and his team has taken a very good, strong argument of reframing the actual request to trace Joseph Biden activity in Ukraine into more general frame of severe corruption in Ukraine, which happens and involved a number of statesmen of America, and Mr. Trump team is going to bring up a lot of evidence with regard to this. So it means that the whole focus of defending stance of Trump's team is not on Joseph Biden as a political figure, but the drastic picture of corruption, size of corruption in Ukraine, and mismanagement and misuse of American assistance, which was directed to Ukraine.
How high is the level of support of Joe Biden right now, and has it changed since the start of the impeachment scandal?
Yes. My personal understanding of the figures that we've seen, that definitely this scandal damaged not just Donald Trump, but also Joseph Biden. And he lost actually his front-runner position among the all candidates of Democratic Party who are running for this position. So he's no longer the extreme leader, if you wish, in this race within the party. So let's wait and see how this selection of candidates will be done in primaries within the parties. But my personal opinion is that nobody is a winner in this impeachment scandal, neither of American political figures nor Ukrainian.
And how does this reflect the future Ukrainian-U.S. relations?
In a sense, it reflected, it affected the relations first because the focus of attention was shifted into internal politics more than to geostrategic thinking and the role of Ukraine in American foreign policy. Then, wish we or not, it is still reflected and impacted the relations on personal level between the presidents.
Right.
And even if Ukrainian president has taken a very wise stance that we are not going to interfere and we are not going to push with any political contacts on a highest level until the scandal waits. So it's a very good position, but still the relations are hampered by that. And the only positive sign we could hope to receive was the appointment of new Ukrainian ambassador to the United States, and hopefully we will get soon the appointment of American ambassador to Ukraine, as well as probably the position of special representative, which was taken by Kurt Volker some time in the past, and we have no signs that another political figure or statesman will be appointed to handle Ukraine's file with Russia.
Well, like you said, we'll have to wait and see. Thank you so much for coming today.
You're welcome.
That was Yulia Osmolovska. She is the international politics expert and executive director at the Institute of Negotiations. Thank you so much for watching Head to Head. Stay tuned with UATV for more.